For a jailbreak update, we've had a number of improvements already to the lab's exploit with the Lua method that we're gonna get into today. First of all, there has been some updates from HEN on the HEN-vtx payload that we've been using. And while we're waiting for GoldHEN to come out, we can use this HEN-vtx, kind of an open source version of the Homebrew, which just gives you the basic functionality of being able to run your fake packages, Homebrew applications, your PS4 games, and of course, also enabling the debug so that you can install those packages. It does have a bunch of other features also built in. It just doesn't quite have all of the extra fancy features that GoldHEN includes, however. The early versions of these were not perfectly stable, particularly on older firmwares like 11.05 or 11.52 were particularly unstable. People were getting freezes and crashed when using it, so HEN has gone ahead and updated these versions of HEN. For 11.dot, 11.dot, 11.50 to 11.52, and 12.0 to 12.0, so these versions should be more stable. So if you're on any of those firmware versions, and you're using the new lab's exploit with the Lua game, then you can try one of these payloads and you should get a more stable experience when using it. Compared to the previous versions you may have been using that was causing crashes and freezes. So definitely give these ones a try. I'll leave a link to them down in the video description. So obviously, the one I'm going to download here is the 12.0 to 12.0 version because I'm on firmware 12.02. So I'll go ahead and download that version now. Another huge improvement we've got is the new auto loader. So this comes to us from 0 by 1-triple-I-1-double-I-A. Not entirely sure how you're meant to pronounce that. As you can see, this is the new PS4 Autoline's autoloader. So I believe this is a port of its PLK's autoloader for PS5. This is just a port of it for PS4. So you can see here, autoloads HEN with Lua plus labs exploit for PS4. So this simplifies things a lot. So you no longer have to send the labs exploit Lua file over the network connection, and then sending the bin loader, and then sending a payload afterwards. This automates that entire process, so as you can see when I run the game, it will automatically run the lab's exploit in the background, the bin loader, and then it will load our payload. And as you can see, that will run our HEN-vtx. For a jailbreak update, we've had a number of improvements already to the lab's exploit with the Lua method that we're gonna get into today. First of all, there has been some updates from HEN on the HEN-vtx payload that we've been using. And while we're waiting for GoldHEN to come out, we can use this HEN-vtx, kind of an open source version of the Homebrew, which just gives you the basic functionality of being able to run your fake packages, Homebrew applications, your PS4 games, and of course, also enabling the debug so that you can install those packages. It does have a bunch of other features also built in. It just doesn't quite have all of the extra fancy features that GoldHEN includes, however. The early versions of these were not perfectly stable, particularly on older firmwares like 11.05 or 11.52 were particularly unstable. People were getting freezes and crashed when using it. So HEN has gone ahead and updated these versions of HEN. For 11.dot, 11.dot, 11.50 to 11.52, and 12.0 to 12.0, so these versions should be more stable. So if you're on any of those firmware versions, and you're using the new lab's exploit with the Lua game, then you can try one of these payloads and you should get a more stable experience when using it. Compared to the previous versions you may have been using that was causing crashes and freezes. So definitely give these ones a try. I'll leave a link to them down in the video description. So obviously, the one I'm going to download here is the 12.0 to 12.0 version because I'm on firmware 12.02. So I'll go ahead and download that version now. Another huge improvement we've got is the new auto loader. So this comes to us from 0 by 1-triple-I-1-double-I-A. Not entirely sure how you're meant to pronounce that. As you can see, this is the new PS4 Autoline's autoloader. So I believe this is a port of its PLK's autoloader for PS5. This is just a port of it for PS4. So you can see here, autoloads HEN with Lua plus labs exploit for PS4. So this simplifies things a lot. So you no longer have to send the labs exploit Lua file over the network connection, and then sending the bin loader, and then sending a payload afterwards. This automates that entire process, so as you can see when I run the game, it will automatically run the lab's exploit in the background, the bin loader, and then it will load our payload. And as you can see, that will run our HEN-vtx payload and right there. It also gives us the courtesy of closing the game automatically for us as well once the exploit has been executed. And we're back on the homepage with the jailbreak running in just a few seconds. And then of course we can head over to our settings. And you can see the debug settings are enabled. So that is another huge improvement that's been added with this particular version. So of getting the save file on your PS4 is still a bit of a pain. You can either restore a backup if you don't have an activated account. I will leave a backup in the video description. I cannot guarantee that these backups are going to work on every single Lua supported title though. And mainly because these backups were created using fake package versions of the game. And some of those fake package versions were potentially built with the wrong keystone file, or a generated keystone instead of the keystone file from the original game. Which means the saves might not be compatible with the original game. With most of them, it should be. So most of the Lua games should work with this backup. Some of them might not because of that particular issue. So by far the best way is to install the decrypted save data yourself, using the free Discord save bots. That way, you can get the absolute latest version that is available to you at the time that you're trying to do this. You can just go to the code of the project and download it as a zip file. Now, what I recommend is creating a new save. You need to have an activated account for this particular process. If you don't have an activated account, you'll probably have to restore the backup and just hope that it works for you. But otherwise, if you have an activated account, which you can figure out by logging out of your PS4 and then just pressing the options button on your profile. And if one of your profiles shows up with the menu for appearing offline or online, that means your account is activated. And you can log into that account and basically create a new save file on your Lua game. Once you have the save file created, go to the application save data management section in the settings, and simply go to save data in system storage, and then select the option to copy it to your USB drive. Have a USB plugged into your PS5, and then it will copy the save data to your USB. At which point you can plug that USB into your computer. And you now have the encrypted save on your USB. Now to use the Discord save bot to inject the save file, what you need to do is first of all, create a Google Drive account if you don't already have one. Create 3 folders on your Google Drive account. A PS4 folder, a save data 0 folder, and an SCE system folder. C_Cs highlight those 3 folders. Go to the 3 dots here and go to the share option, and make sure you enable the option to switch it from restricted to anyone with this link. And make sure you do that with all 3 folders and then click done. At which point you can take the 2 save data files on your USB and copy them into the PS4 folder on your Google Drive. And then from there copy the link to that folder. Then you can get started with AutoHEN. I'll leave a link to the Discord in the description. All you gotta do is head over there. Use PSBot if you can. If not, you can pick one of the other ones that are available. But basically, I use PSBot. So I select get started, at which point it will then create a little new thread there that you can go into. And then it will give you a welcome message. Then you want to type in /decrypt. Select true for including the SCE system folder. Then press enter. And then it will ask you for your link to your save files. So just paste in the link to your Google Drive for the PS4 folder, and then press enter. At which point it should then upload that save. It will mount it and then it will give you the decrypted save data. It may take a few minutes, and eventually you'll get your link to your decrypted save, which you can then download back onto your computer. So I'll copy that out to my desktop, and if I open this folder you can see we have our decrypted save data from our save that we created. So at this point, we can then take the save data for the autoloader and all of the files that are in here and basically copy all of those files into our decrypted save data that we got from the save bot. So we'll paste that in there, and then we're gonna go back to our Google Drive account and go into the save data 0 folder and copy all of the files apart from the SCE system folder from our decrypted save, and copy all of those files into that save 0 folder on your Google Drive. And once all of those have been copied, we can go back and then go into the C system folder on our Google Drive, and then upload all of the files from the SCE system folder for the decrypted save into that folder on Google Drive. So that should be everything we need there. So now we can go back to the Discord bot again. Then we can do the /encrypt command, which will allow us to import our decrypted save data with the autoloader into our save. So we're going to use / and then it will ask us if we're going to upload the files manually. We're going to say false to that. It will say include SE. This will say true. Now there's also an option to add your PlayStation ID. This might not be necessary if you don't provide it. It might just resign the save file. Using the existing ID from the original save. That would make sense, but just in case, I'll go ahead and add this option in as well. And give it my account ID, which you can get from the USB drive where the save file is stored. Inside the save data folder, the next folder, inside is a folder with your account ID as the actual folder name. So you can just rename the folder and copy that account ID and paste it into the Discord bot. It's actually looking for a PS and account name and not the account ID. But if we just go ahead and press enter, it will say the name is invalid. And then it will ask us for the account ID next. And we can just paste in the account ID to provide it. And that should be good. It's gonna first of all ask us for the encrypted saves that are in the PS4 folder. First of all, so we'll give it the link to our PS4 folder again on Google Drive and paste it in and press enter. Then it will ask us for our decrypted save data to upload. So at that point, we're gonna go ahead and go into the save data 0 copy folder, the link to that folder, and then paste it into the Discord and press enter. And then it will start uploading all of those files. Once the upload's complete, it should then ask us for the location of the SCE system folder, which again will just go into that folder on Google Drive. Copy the link, and then paste it in again to the Discord bot and press enter. And then it should upload it to Google Drive. And once it's done, it will give you a Google Drive link. It will take a long time, but once it is done, it will give you the link to Google Drive to download your encrypted save. So once you get the encrypted you can copy the save data from that save. The save data.bin and the save data file. You can copy those and override the ones on your USB drive with the ones that you downloaded from the Google Drive link. Now before we plug it into the PS4, we do want to get our payload, because this autoloader can also launch the payload for us as well. So that will be our Homebrew enabler payload. So HEN-vtx or GoldHEN. If GoldHEN's available by the time you're watching this video, then you can use that one too. But basically, you take your payload, whether it's GoldHEN or HEN-vtx for your firmware version, rename it to payload.bin. And then simply copy it to the root of the USB drive as well. When we actually go to run the exploit, this autoloader will actually copy the payload to the data folder on the hard drive, and it will then load it from there. So you won't need the USB drive plugged in to load every single time, just the first time you try to load it. Just like with the PWN exploit. So essentially all we do now is unplug that USB plug it into drive, our PS4, head back to the application save data management section, and then simply select save data in USB storage this time, and then copy it to the system storage, which will get your save file installed with the Lua loader on it. The autoloader, and then we can go and run the game, and it should run. The autoloader runs the labs exploit, which runs very quickly. Then immediately the bin loader, and then the payload. Also copy the payload as you see here. It copied it to the internal storage and then launches it. And we now get our HEN running. Our Homebrew enabler with the debug settings and the ability to run our fake packages. And of course it closes the game as well for you automatically. So anyway, that's a huge improvement on the time it takes to actually load the exploit without having to, have your console connected up to the network and having to send the files one by one, which obviously takes a while. When you have to do that every single time you restart the PS4. Because it's a tethered jailbreak, however. Being able to do it now. Do you even need to use rest mode at this point? When you can simply load the exploit that quickly, in just a few seconds, honestly. This is actually one of the fastest ways to jailbreak your PS4 even though it's not the best jailbreak. In the sense that we actually have to obviously get your hands on one of these Lua games, which is not an easy thing to come by. Especially now, but generally, if you do manage to get your hands on one of these games, this is actually a really now that you fast can jailbreak your PS4 much faster than the PWN exploit on 11.0 and older. Even faster than some of the previous WebKit jailbreaks that used to use unstable WebKit exploits. That would take a while. This is actually a much faster way of getting things loaded. So we're basically just waiting for GoldHEN to get released now. And of course, once that's available, I'll make a full tutorial, a complete beginner's guide from start to finish on how to jailbreak your PS4 on a 12.0 or lower. But for now, anyway, you can follow the steps in this video. If you want to get set up with the exploit early and use the autoloader to run the Homebrew enabler. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And once again, I hope